Good new one, 7 tomorrow. Excuse the noise, I have family over. My nephews and nieces are over, so you might hear the kids talking. It's the best I can do though, right? Hope you guys enjoy my CFL videos. Your CFLs are sick, I know. Yeah. Your CFLs are sick, I know. I know the CFL will never make this change, but I hope maybe in the future they would maybe be open to some changes. But I know we're never going to do that. I know it's never going to happen. But I mean, I believe that's the way of fixing your league CFL. It's marketing the Canadian product, especially the quarterbacks. That's the key. You have a Canadian QB rivalry in the CFL for the Grey Cup. That will build buzz for the kids, universities, all this stuff, right? That's my point, obviously. Yeah. I mean, you hear the kids. Yeah, the kids are. My nieces and nephews are here, right? Yeah. Yeah. I believe the CFL can double in revenue. Yes, I believe in 15 years, the CFL really markets the heck out of the franchise Canadian players, especially the quarterbacks. It can grow to a $550 billion, at least a $500 million business in maybe 15 years. But they have to do everything right and market the heck out of the quarterbacks. That's the key. That's the key right there. That's the key, obviously. Yeah, that's the key. That's the key, obviously. Why do you think it'll be huge? Because I told you, I remember whenever all these Canadian quarterbacks were starting, my younger brother was going crazy. He's like, I even trade Ford is starting this year for Edmonton Admirals. He signed like a huge deal with Edmonton, Ivan. As Trey Ford did sign a big deal with Edmonton. He's making like almost as much money as Nathan Rourke in the CFL, but he didn't do good, so they benched him obviously. So yeah, my younger brother was going crazy about that. And I remember when this is what a year ago, 2024, Trey Ford had limited reps and they benched him, and all the stadium was rooting for Trey Ford to go back on the field. They didn't care about the American quarterback, and that's how you know there's a bigger demand in markets for the Canadian football players compared to the American football players in the CFL. I know the Canadian football players as popular as Canadian hockey players. No, not even close, man. It's not even close, man. Obviously, but my point is, if you if you promote the Canadian talent and it grows in popularity, now the Canadian football players become a little bit more popular, but they're never going to be as popular as the NHL athletes. It's not even close, man. They don't even register to even. They don't even register. Yeah, it's not even close. It's not even close, man. Yeah, it's not even close. Yeah. It's not even close. So, what are your two answers to making this change? Either it doesn't make if the CFL doesn't market it well, then it won't make a difference. But they really market it well on TSN. CFL TSN panel talks about it. They do a few nationwide commercials with the star franchise quarterbacks. They market at the universities, and let's say the commissioner does a press conference and they air it on TSN, and all the Canadian players post it on their Twitter. The Prime Minister posts it on Twitter. CFL's on Canada. That's how a lot of people in Canada will know. And it could be big in 10 years, or it won't make a difference because the fans of Canada don't really care that much about Canadian football. Is my other answer. I'm sorry. That's my other answer. Either fans in Canada don't care that much about Canadian football, or there is a bigger demand for it. It's not with the American products, with the Canadian product. When I mean the Canadian products, I'm not talking about a few stars. No, I'm talking about all those franchise players are all Canadian players. You market them in universities. Oh my God, like these guys who got drafted. I know this guy. He played at my university. Now he's a franchise player. This guy's a franchise quarterback. That's how a lot of those university students tune in. A good maybe 200,000 of them can tune in. Double your TV ratings by 200,000. If you can get another 250,000 people in Canada watching, you have 1 million people watching your games. That's how you grow the league in 10 years. I'm saying, I'm your genius, I know. I'm sorry. Excuse the kids, man. They're very loud. I'm sorry. It's the best I can do. Sarah? Yeah. Yeah. So it might not make a difference. No, it might not make a difference for the Canadian players, or it could skyrocket substantially in 10 years. That's my answer. Either it doesn't make a difference at all, which is possible, or the business could be bigger in 10 years because the Canadian players have a higher market value in Canada because they're Canadian, and a lot of the football fans know some of these players, and they also know they got drafted. They either know a little bit about their history, or they know they got drafted. Because a lot of the CFL fans, they know about the players who got drafted for their teams and everything, so it builds more buzz. Sarah? Yeah. Or they could relate to them more because they're Canadian. That's my point, right? I think they can relate to the Canadian players. Yeah. Yeah. But the key to what? The key to really, really building buzz for the CFL is all about the quarterbacks. You have to really market your franchise quarterbacks. That's the key. You have to market the franchise quarterbacks. That's the key, obviously, right? That's the key. You have to market the franchise quarterbacks in your league CFL. We're never going to do that, man. Like, we're blind. Yeah, you're blind by American talent too. You're never going to do that. I'm just saying, Ivan America gave you suggestions about possibility of growing the league in 10 years. But I even give you marketing suggestions too. Yeah, I mean, that's genius, but we're not going to do that, man. We need to give the American players an opportunity to play well. Yeah, I know. What about the Canadian players? Right, we do give them opportunity, yeah, but very few. The American players are all the guys who shine up here. Obviously. Remember Herb Brooks in the video? He's like, all-star teams fail because they rely solely on the individual's talent. Yeah. The CFL is obviously blindly relying on the American players who come up here. They're just blindly relying on their talent to hopefully grow this league substantially. But I mean, they may be talented CFL, but just because they're more talented doesn't necessarily mean it's the best business strategy to grow your league in Canada, right? Just because the American players are more talented than Canadian players in most cases doesn't necessarily mean it's the best strategy of growing your league. That's my answer. I'm sorry. All your cheeks, I know. Because I heard Brooks knew that the NHL athletes may be more talented than the best college players, but he realized it's not the best way to beat the Soviets. He wanted the best college players in Canada, and he put through better conditioning and training. He pulled it off, and they won the Golden Round. And they beat the Soviets, who were the best hockey team in the world at the time, back in the 80s, in the early 80s, 1980. I'm sorry. That's my point, yeah. I'm sorry. Yeah. Yeah. So the CFL, they're trying to be the NFL of Canada. That's why they bring all the American guys. Like Dutch, common sense, or even trying to Americanize the Canadian football game. That's why Nathan Rourke was so furious. He's like, what the heck? The CFL's already Americanized with all these American star players. Why are you trying to be like the NFL? They're now changing the rules to fit more like the NFL. They're moving the goalposts to the back. They're taking away the rouge, the misful goal rouge. They're shortening the end zone depth like the NFL. They're shortening the field size. They're trying to be more like the NFL, obviously. And I think that's the problem. The CFL are so blinded by the American talent. They're trying to Americanize Canadian football. They call it Canadian football, but it really is like the American Football League, right? So all the star players are just all these American guys, barely any Canadian star players. All of the Canadian players are either sitting on the bench or they're playing special teams. That's how it works in the CFL, right? Yeah. Why even the quality will down? Yeah, but be honest, CFL, will the quality dip drastically? Not drastically high, but it'll dip a little bit. Yeah, it'll dip by maybe 5%. It's a little bit of a dip in quality, but it's still amazing quality football. So sorry. That's why the CFL never made that choice. Yeah, we want quality. Yeah, we're trying. We want to be like the NFL. That's why we bring in the leftovers, and hopefully we can be. Our football's almost on the same quality as the NFL. That's how we roll league in Canada. I mean, yeah, I get that CFL, but the star players in your league are American. They may be talented. You're relying on their talent to put on the show on television and grow your league, but your league is seeking minimal growth. So obviously something's not working. Or something's not right with your league. That's my answer. Yeah, that's my answer. I'm sorry. That's my answer. Obviously, that's my answer. That scared me. Yeah. I know the CFL really try their best. The GMs really try their best to keep their star players from going to the NFL. Yeah, they do. They offer them a lot of money, but they can't compete with the NFL. They can't. It's not even close, man. The NFL can pay if you're a star player. NFL minimum salary is $500,000, man. So what you like star quarterbacks in the CFL make that. What players sitting on the bench making the NFL. CFL just can't compete with the NFL. They can't compete with the NFL, man. Yeah, they can offer, I don't know, a star receiver $200,000 and maybe housing, and they might maybe we can buy you a car or something like that, a nice car. Like, you know what I'm saying? They try their best to keep them there, but the guys say no because they know they can make more money in the NFL and they can't compete. Yeah, we can't compete in the NFL, but we can offer you a bit more money, and you know what I'm saying? Some guys turn down, nah, man. They're tempted, yeah, like it's tempting to just stay up here because the fans tell me, man, this is not my dream. My dream is playing the NFL. Yeah, their dreams playing the NFL, but it's not playing the CFL. The CFL can't compete with the NFL with contracts. It's not even close, man. It's not even close. The CFL doesn't have the kind of pockets that the NFL has. It's not even close, right? I'm sorry. Evan. But if the league grows to a $500 million year business in 10 years, the CFL can now raise the cap to like $10 million, man, per team, right? Or like 9 million maybe because they're cheap. The CFL's cheap. They might raise it to maybe 9 million. If you raise it to 9 million, the star quarterbacks can now make their $1 million contracts, 800,000, 900 million, 1.1 million contracts. The receivers to make their 500, 600,000, 650,000 contracts. The star defensive players to make 350, $400,000, $40,000, and the good players to make their 150, $200,000 in the CFL. And now everyone's making a lot of money. The GMs don't have to worry. The, the GMs don't have to worry about losing their star players to the NFL if the league grew to that size. League grows to $400 million in 10 years. They can raise the cap to like $8.59 million, and the players now make more money as I explained, obviously. And the Canadian star players will turn down the NFL. Yeah, the GMs don't have to worry. They're making that money. They increase the cap. All these guys will stay. The GMs don't have to worry about losing those guys to the NFL. For the Canadian athletes, the GMs only have to worry about them going to the NFL. They don't care about the NFL, the Canadian athletes. It's the American guys they have that worry. Because this was not their dream. Their dream was playing in the NFL, not the CFL. The Canadian football players, their dream is playing in the CFL, not the NFL. They don't care about the NFL. The CFL knows that. I know that we don't care, man. We're going to bring all these American guys up here, have them put on a show for our television show, and let's market these guys to Canadian people. And hopefully, we grow the league substantially. Yeah, I get that, but they're unknown to Canadian people, CFL. You wonder why no one really cares about your games that much. Yeah. So, Sarah? That's my point. Yeah. 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 So, Sarah, that's my answer. Or it doesn't make a difference, guys. Yeah, the Canadian players just don't. It doesn't make a difference either way. The fans of Canada just don't care about Canadian football. That's not their answer. That would be my answer to you, CFL. Either the fans of Canada don't care about Canadian football, regardless of the change, if you market Canadian product or American product. Right? When I mean Canadian product, I mean the majority of all the star players are Canadian players, especially the franchise quarterback. It won't make a difference. Or there is a bigger market for the Canadian product, especially the franchise quarterbacks. That's my answer, obviously. It's never going to happen. Yeah, we're never going to do that, man. The quality will dip a little bit. Yeah, because you're trying to be the NFL of Canada. Forget about the NFL. The NFL's for the Americans. The CFL's for the Canadians. Stop trying to be NFL of Canada CFL. That's your problem, Sarah. Yeah, that's your problem, Sarah. Yeah. So you know there is a demand for it. Yes, I remember. You have something in Ottawa called the Panic Game, where Ottawa U plays the Carleton Ravens, and like a good chunk of the university students go to the games. The game, and the whole thing is packed with like 22,000 fans at the Ottawa Redblacks CFL Stadium. It's such a big event. This is with little marketing at the school, and all these fans go and watch the game. So if you market all these franchise quarterbacks at the university, and all the students know some of these players play at the university, and now there's franchise star players, that's how more people go to the game. All the games will be packed with Canadian players. The stadiums will be packed to support the Canadian homegrown talent, and more people on television, I guarantee you, will watch. Double your television viewership in, to 1 million people watching in the first season, I think. And in 10 years, maybe a good 3 million people now, 3.5 million, 4 million people now are tuning into your CFL games. That's how you grow the league out here, jeez, I know. Sarah? If someone comes on, you guys, I have to shut the camera off. Yeah. Yeah. Yeah, yeah, yeah. What do you think is the CFL's peak? I think around that 550 million range. 500, 600 million range is probably the CFL's peak in terms of if it grows in popularity, it'll peak around that range because there's not that much of a bigger market for Canadian football compared to the NHL. Right? The CFL will never be a multi-billion-dollar business. No, the market's just not big enough in Canada for the Canadian Football League, but it could grow to a 500 million dollar a year business. Obviously, you think it can grow to a 500 million dollar business with the American talent, Ivan? Nah, maybe 350 million in maybe 20 years, but 500 million with the American product, I don't think so. I don't think the fans are resonating that much with these American guys compared to the fans that kind of love the Canadian football players more than the American football players. That's just the truth. Like you can relate to them more. They're Canadian. Like duh, it's common sense. That's my answer, obviously. Sorry. That's my answer. That's my answer. Sorry. That's my answer, obviously. That's my answer. That's my answer. So I do believe the CFL lost a lot of great Canadian players. Oh yeah. And all you GMs and coaches don't talk about, man, in the CFL. There's a lot of players you guys drafted, like in the CFL over the past like decade, who you lost out. You lost out on all those Canadian athletes all because of your American bias. It's very sad, honestly. As I believe Anthony Coombs would have been like an Andrew Harris in the CFL. He would have been amazing right back in the CFL if we just got rid of the American talent. Shamad Chambers would have been a star receiver in the CFL. He was an amazing receiver. Safon Charles would have been an amazing defensive line in the CFL. There's also another guy, Lyndon Gadosh. He was drafted back in 2013. He bounced around. He went to the NFL and he came back to the CFL. He had limited reps. He bounced around teams and he retired too, man. Yeah. Obviously, Brandon Bridge, Brad Sinopoli. These guys all would have been franchise players, man. The CFL set, I know. There was another DB who played for Queens. I remember his name was Andrew Liu. I remember seeing his CFL profile thing. Yeah, he got drafted like back in 2013. He was an amazing defensive back. He bounced around teams, limited reps, put on the practice roster. These are all like first round, second round picks, all bust picks. The CFL lost great talent all because of their American bias. And that's why I was so frustrated and I took it out on the CFL. But yeah, the CFL needs to be exposed. This is really pissing me off. A lot of these amazing Canadian athletes would have been star franchise players up here, all because of their American bias. They lost a lot of amazing Canadian football players because of their American bias, honestly. All you gyms and coaches on top, yeah, you're right, man. All these players would have been franchise players. How we just got rid of American talent, yeah, man, they would have been franchise players, man. Brad Sinopoli, Brandon Ridge would have been. You guys know what I'm talking about. Yeah, we saw their highs. Yeah, those guys would have been putting on a show on television as franchise quarterbacks. And you would have had the rivalry with Brandon Bridge, Brad Sinopoli, Nathan Rook, and Trey Ford. Jeremy Don Roche was another amazing quarterback. These would have been amazing franchise quarterbacks. Kyle Quinlan. These guys all would have been drafted. They would have been franchise players in the CFL. Because of your American bias, you lost out on a lot of amazing talent in the CFL. That's what really pisses me off. That's why I decided to expose the CFL for the world to see. Because I'm sick and tired of the American bias, man. I really am. Even though I love these American star athletes and the fans love them and everything, the bias is getting annoying, man. For 25 years of my life, all I see is just all these American guys shine up here. Barely any Canadian guys shine up here. That's why I was so frustrated and I took it off the CFL. Yeah, you sound frustrated. Yes, I was frustrated. I'm sorry. Emma. Why didn't those draft picks get to shine? It's because of the American talent, obviously. That's why the American, because the CFL they can only start 7 Canadian players, and they start the others American guys. So these draft picks, even though they're amazing players, some of them are not just as good as the American guys. They can't because of the rule they can't play. They have to start the American guys over because the coaches don't believe they're good enough to compete with the athletic American guys. That's why they bench them and they go to practice roster because of the American bias. And the American players on average have a little of the edge over the best named players, but some of them are just as good as these American guys. But because of the bias, they don't get the opportunity to shine. And all these draft picks, all robust picks in CFL, they all retire. They fade away. Yeah. They fade away. When do you usually hear a little about the draft picks? Usually in their rookie season, you hear a little about them. They'll make this catch, they make this tackle, and the CFL says, yeah, this player was drafted in the second round. It's cool. But after 2 years, 3 years go by, you don't hear about these guys. They kind of like fade away. You might hear their name maybe 1-2 times during the season. They fade away. You forget about the draft picks. They kind of just fade away. You know what I'm saying? All the main focus is on all these American guys. That's how it works. That's cold, man. That's cold. Fucking cold, obviously. It's cold, man. Yeah, man. So, you believe the CFL? Yeah. If you market the Canadian product, especially the quarterbacks, the value of the CFL league will go up. Honestly, because the Canadians have a higher market value than the American players, and the CFL knows that. Yeah, we know it, but they're not as talented. Yeah, but guys, does it really make that much of a difference? Yes, I know the quality will dip a little bit. It's still quality football. Yeah, but it's not like the NFL. I mean, yeah, I don't know. There's a 17% drop in quality from the NFL, but it's still amazing quality football. Yeah. Plus, the new better training, conditioning, coaching, you're gonna get a better performance from the Canadian players. Yeah, there you go. And have the coaches come up with better offensive and defensive systems for the offense and defense. That way you create a more entertaining football game for the people of Canada. That's what I'll tell. That's what I'm telling you, CFL to do, obviously. If you're ever gonna make this change, you're never gonna. Yeah, we're never gonna make the change. Yeah, but if you ever want to make the change, this is my advice. This is my suggestion. Oh, hey, I'm saying, yeah. So I'm saying, or I could be wrong. Maybe this doesn't make a difference, but I believe marketing the Canadian product, the franchise of the teams will go up. The value of the teams will go up. I guarantee you, all the teams will be profitable now because the stadiums will be packed every game. The CFL stadiums will be packed every game if it's just Canadian players playing. Oh yeah, we're not worried about the game attendance. We know the fans will come to that. It's television ratings we're worried about. Yeah, but if the fans are all excited to see these star Canadian quarterbacks play for the games, and all these university kids and a lot of football fans go to the games, what makes you think, and that's good enough for them, what makes you think it's not good enough for the rest of Canada? You got a good point there. Yeah, it's good quality football. Yeah, guys, it's more than good enough for the people of Canada, but it's just not on the NFL's level. Yeah, you take away the American talent, the quality now dips a little bit. Yeah, I don't know, there's like there's like a 50% drop in quality from the best Canadian players to the American players in the NFL, but still amazing football. It's quality football for the Canadian people, so I don't hate him. Yeah. As yesterday, I looked through the 2024. I looked through the 2024 CIS Canadian draft picks who got drafted, and you have this like clip with music, and I saw the DBs and receivers playing everything. I don't really see that much of a difference with the American guys who come. There's a little bit of a difference, but they have a little bit of edge on athleticism. The American guys, the Canadian guys are so amazing athletes. Yeah, they're amazing athletes, but they don't put on the show the way the American guys put on the show. Yeah, but they still put on the show. Yeah, they put on the show, Ivan, not the way the American way they put on the show, Ivan. Yeah, that's the problem. You're trying to be the NFL Canada CFL. That's the problem, obviously. So, yeah. Only 2 teams out of the 9 teams in the CFL made money. The Saskatchewan Roughriders and the Winnipeg Blue Bombers, who are like the 2 richest teams in the CFL, right? Only 2 of those teams made money. As those are the 2 richest teams in the CFL. Winnipeg Blue Bombers and Saskatchewan Roughriders are the 2 richest teams in the CFL. Obviously, Ivan, what's the richest team in the CFL? Saskatchewan Roughriders are by far the richest team in the CFL. They're the third. The Saskatchewan Roughriders is even beating out most of the NHL teams in profit. Not revenue. The NHL blows the CFL revenue, but in profit, Saskatchewan Roughriders. I heard like a couple years ago, yeah, Saskatchewan Roughriders is the third most profitable team in Canada after the Toronto Maple Leafs and the Montreal Canadiens in the NHL, and all the and Saskatchewan's number 3. It's a very, very popular team. The only pro team in Saskatchewan. That's why. And what? And the fans in Saskatchewan, their games are always packed with like 40,000 people. It's a they're a rich team. Winnipeg is also a rich team too. Like the 2 richest teams in the CFL, obviously. Was the Eastern teams are a bit poorer than the Western teams. They're not as rich. They don't have as nice facilities as the West teams, right? Who has the nicest stadium? BC Lions have the nicest stadium in the CFL. Then second, I'd say Saskatchewan Roughriders, and third, Winnipeg Blue Bombers. Saskatchewan has a very beautiful stadium too. But BC Lions have an indoor stadium. They have a fucking nice stadium. BC Lions have a beautiful stadium, a nice stadium in Vancouver. News what I'm talking about. Yeah, I know the BC Lions. I know News not a sports fan, but News obviously knows the BC Lions. I know the BC Lions. Yeah, there's a pro team in Vancouver, obviously, right? The BC Lions, obviously. Yeah. Ivan, do you see a difference when you see Nathan Rourke play with the American quarterbacks? No, I don't see any difference. Nathan Rourke is arguably the best quarterback in CFL right now, man. Some people are saying he might win the MVP award. Yeah. He's the best quarterback. He's arguably the best quarterback in the CFL right now, Nathan Rourke. He's doing amazing in the CFL. Last game he didn't do that good. He threw like 2 picks, but he still managed to win his team. I'm sorry. He's an amazing quarterback, Nathan. Arguably the best quarterback in the CFL right now. He's Canadian, obviously. Some Sarah. Let me guys, I'll use the bathroom. I'm back in a sec. Hope you guys enjoy this show. All right, guys, I'm back. Yeah. Almost there. I'll talk maybe an hour and like, I don't know, 15 minutes. You know, I'm done. I want to make too long of a video. Yeah. You want the CFL to grow? Yeah, I do. I really do want the CFL to be a successful league. It'll never be the NHL, not even close. But it would be nice for the league to be a 500 million, $450 million a year business. Obviously, and that way the athletes can get paid more money, the GMs and coaches can get paid more money, and they can raise the cap to like I don't know, $8 million, $9 million, $8 million, $5 million. Pay the athletes more money, obviously. Yeah. So I do believe that. Yeah, that I believe that's the way to fixing the league's financial struggle. It's marketing the heck out of the Canadian product, especially the quarterbacks. The quarterbacks is the key. You market the heck out of the quarterbacks. You have no Siegel and Wama talking about the star franchise Canadian quarterbacks. That will build buzz for the people at universities and the Canadian people in Canada. You have to really do a few nationwide commercials. That's how you grow it, obviously. I'm going to change, I know. So, Sarah, that's how you grow it. Or it won't make a difference. That's my other answer. It doesn't make a difference, obviously. Yeah. So, Sarah, that's my answer. Yeah. We talk about Seal for next video. No, I might go back and talk about Sky Source for next video. Yeah. That's what's important to me, right? I'm gonna start Sky's name with VJ when I'm king, obviously. Like, all film studio, our big film studio, VJ, we're gonna start, obviously. I'm sorry. Yeah. Yeah. I hope the league grows. I know the CFL will never make a change. Yeah, I would never make a change. Yeah, I hope the league. I believe in 10 years the league can maybe go to a $300 million a year business. So the CFL's growing, but it's growing very slowly, obviously. Yeah. Maybe in a good maybe 25 years the league might now grow to maybe a $350 million a year business. It's in a better position. That's good for the CFL. Obviously. The CFL is never going to get rid of the American guys. It's never going to happen. Yeah, it's never going to happen. Yeah, never going to happen. Obviously, never going to happen. They don't trust the Canadian players to put on as good quality football for the game people. I'm like, no. I'm like, no. It is good quality football. CFL. It's just not on the NFL's level. guys, I'm back. I went to get snacks. My younger brother ordered pizza, so yeah. What do you know? I mean crackers with cheese. Yeah. Ivan, why do you think the CFL teams are losing money? Because for the CFL, even though most of their games are packed with a lot of fans, not all the time. Sometimes they have an inconsistency. Sometimes, like majority of the times, their games are packed. It's a full house at the stadium. But there's some games where it's not fully packed. They'll get maybe 3/4 of it full, and that's probably why they lose. Some teams are most teams like break even. You want to make profit, you gotta what? You gotta sell out your stadiums all season long. Like Winnipeg, New Marlins, Saskatchewan Roughriders always sell out their stadiums. Whereas the other teams, they sell it out occasionally, then sometimes they don't really sell it out. That's why the teams are losing money. And lots of them, you know what I'm saying? A lot of people don't buy as much merch, and that's why the team loses a bit of money, obviously. Duh, that's the answer. And I believe it's the American town problem. The fans care, like, they love the American players, but they love the Canadian players more. With the Canadian players, I guarantee you, all the stadiums will be sold out all year long. Every game will be sold out, man. If you had the Canadian product, the Canadian star franchise quarterbacks. No. That's my answer. Sorry? I do believe you believe the stadiums would sell out with the Canadian players. Oh yeah, if especially if you put a billboard of the all the CFL fans knowing that it's now Canadian homegrown town and you got Canadian franchise quarterbacks, a lot more. All the I believe all the CFL games will sell out. And if you're selling out all season, every team will make a profit. Obviously, the key to making profit, you gotta like sell out all your games all season, and then you make a profit. That's how the team makes profit. Sarah, buying merch, concessions, all that stuff. That's how you make money. That's how the team makes money. Obviously, yeah. So, Sarah, yeah, 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 yeah. You understand why the CFL does this a little bit. Like they want, I get it. They want quality football for the Canadians. They want it almost as good as the NFL because they're blind by the American talent. That's why they do this. But I mean, they're seeing minimal growth because I believe that people cannot resonate that much with these American guys. That's my answer. But it is true. The American guys do put on more of a show. It's more quality football. But they've been putting on a show for years, CFL, and you're seeing very minimal growth. So obviously, quality is not the issue of your game, CFL. There's another reason. And I have two answers. Either the fans again just don't care that much about Canadian football, obviously, which is partially true. They don't really care that much about Canadian football, or there is a little bit of a bigger market for it, but it's not with the American product. It's with the Canadian product, especially the quarterbacks. That's what really builds buzz for your league. Have the CFL teams about talk about the franchise Canadian quarterbacks. And you market them on TSN at the universities, and that's how you grow the league. But I could be wrong. It might not make a difference, Sarah. That's my other answer. I have your genes, I know. Sarah. They bought pizza, so I'm gonna go upstairs and get my pizza. Yeah, coming, coming. Yeah. Okay, coming. I asked about the order 11 pizza, so I'm gonna eat the pizza. It's fattening though, fattening food, but I mean, yeah, Yeah. So you believe the people in Canada? Yeah, I believe there is a little bit of a bigger demand for football, but not on the way of like hockey. The demand for football is not on the same level as hockey, not even close. But I believe there is a bigger market for it. As millions of people tune into the Great Cup, right? Obviously, the CFL peaks at about 6 million people, 7 million people in Canada tuning into the Great Cup. That's good. That's how you know there is a market for the CFL. And for the games, they average like 500, about 500,000 people watching. So obviously there is a little bit of a bigger market for it, but it's not with the American products or the Canadian products. That's how you grow with the league. That's my answer. Especially the franchise Canadian quarterbacks. That's how you grow with the league. That's my answer. But all even the quality will dip. Yeah, it will dip by a little bit. If you're so scared about the quality, even though it's more than good enough for the Canadian people, make sure you have better coaching from the coaches, for the QBs, linebackers, running backs, all that stuff, right? That's my answer. Have better offseason training, put them through better conditioning in the offseason. That way you get a better performance when the game players on the field. They'll put on a show on television too for the game. Well, even they will, but it's not like the American guys. Yeah, that's the problem, CFL. You're blind by the American talent. You're trying to be the NFL Canada, man. Stop trying to be the NFL Canada. Be the CFL Canada. The CFL's for the Canadian people. The NFL's for the American people. That's what I'm saying. Yeah. I'm sorry. Here's I gotta go get my pizza. I'll be back in a sec. Yeah, talk to me 5 minutes and I'm gonna go upstairs. There's a big line right now, so. Yeah, almost on there, guys. Yeah. All right, who do you think is the best quarterback in the CFL right now? And Nathan Rourke is arguably the best quarterback in the CFL right now. Yeah, he is. He's like pretty much the best quarterback in the CFL right now. He's Canadian too. That's how you know CFL. You just put through better training. You're looking at they'll put on the show. God, we know that, but they're not as talented as American guys. Yeah, they don't put on as much for show, but I mean, it's still amazing quality football. That's my point. Yeah. That's my answer, obviously. That's what I'm saying. Yeah. All right, is the CFL older league than the NFL? Yes, it is. But how the CFL worked was they played football obviously, then they officially started the league. I don't know, in like the 50s or something like that, the 40s, and the NFL started around the same time as the CFL when they both officially became the league. But the CFL was like people were playing football before the CFL became officially a league. And when the NFL grew in popularity, that's when the CFL, I think, yeah, let's bring all these guys here and yeah, they've been doing this since the league started, bringing all the American guys because they had made the NFL success, obviously, and it wasn't working, and that's why I believe CFL is struggling financially because of the American players. I call it the American talent problem in the league. The league is just contaminated with all these American players who are the stars, and they're marketing those people to the people of Canada, and you wonder why the league's not growing. That's my answer. Or the fans of Canada just don't care. The Canadians just don't care that much about Canadian football. There's not really a big market for it. That's my other answer. I'm asking an answer. Yeah, it's a good answer. You're right. Right, guys, I'm back. They bought Glenwood pizza? Yeah, they bought Glenwood pizza. Aaron and brother ordered 3 large pizzas, man. 3 large freaking pizzas. Yeah. That was my favorite pizza in Hummer, by the way, right? Yeah, man. Alright, the CFL draft's not popular? No, it's not. Because the CFL doesn't market it that well. I think all the CFL fans are not stupid. They know the draft is a crapshoot. Like, a lot of fans will tune into it, but they know the whole thing is bullshit, obviously. That's why they don't really care that much about the draft, because most of the CFL draft picks are not star players. They all end up on special teams. They get limited reps. They get put on the practice roster. A lot of them get released, so they can't really take the draft seriously. That's my answer, obviously, right? Good pizza. Yeah. All you Canadian players, man, it'd be nice for us Canadian players to shine up here in the CFL. Not gonna happen, guys. CFL has a bias. As you guys already know, yeah, we know about the bias. Yeah, they're not stupid. The Canadians know about the bias. They're not stupid, obviously. The American guys put on more of a show. They're more talented. That's why they started in the CFL. That's how it works, right? No. So the CFL trusts the Americans. Yeah, the CFL trusts the Americans. So, yeah, we're not worried about the American players. The American players are more athletic, a bit more athletic than Canadian players. They put on more of a show, even though there's not that much of a difference. The Canadian players, we don't trust them to put on good enough quality ball for the people of Canada. That's why none of them are stars. Barely any of them are stars. That's how it works, right? Yeah. Honestly, the way you look at it, yeah, the way I look at it, the American athletes that come up here, they they're better for the football gaming experience, but the Canadian guys are better for the growth of the league and the business, obviously, of the CFL because they have a higher market value than American players. Because people in Canada, a lot of people in Canada know about these guys and they got drafted, or they can relate to them because they're Canadian. Well, they don't relate to the American players as much as the Canadian players. That's my answer. It's a pride thing, right? Yeah, we're fellow Canadians. You have that automatic Canadian bias. It's a pride thing, obviously, right? That's why the Canadian players have a bit of a higher market value than the American players in the CFL. Like, duh, it's common sense. As all the CFL fans for that team, they know who the draft picks are. The fans at the stadium, they know who these draft picks are. Well, these up and coming new American guys, they don't know anything about these guys. They don't know anything about those guys. Yeah, it was all these new upcoming Canadian players. The fans of the football team know these guys got drafted, so they can relate to them more. Obviously, so, sorry. Yeah. That's some sound. So I have those are two answers. Yeah, either it doesn't make a difference, which is possible. It doesn't because the fans kind of don't care much about Canadian football, or there is a bit of a difference when you market the Canadian homegrown talent, especially the quarterbacks. It makes a difference. The league can grow substantially to a 400, 500 might be a bit stretching, but at least a $450 million business in 10 years, right? And then in 15 years, 550 million. That's my answer, but I don't know. I could be wrong. Go. Steve will never that. We're never going to do that, man. Yeah, never going to happen. Never going to happen, obviously. Yeah. That's some Sarah. I was just saying, yeah. Yeah, that's my point. Yeah, man. Yeah. Is that your dream? Yeah, that's my dream, but it's never going to happen. CFL will never make that change. This has been going on for decades since the league started. It's a bias for decades. That's been going on for decades. It's passed on to the league. It's never going to go away. And the CFL sees it as risky. Yeah, the quality will dip. We can't do that. That's why they're never going to do that, obviously. They also need to give the American players an opportunity to play pro football, even though they barely have any Canadian players an opportunity to play. Yeah, we do give them an opportunity, yeah, but they play special teams and they have limited reps. They don't really get to shine anything because you only have a few stars in your league CFL. A few Canadian stars, that's it. Yeah, and most of your stars are the alignment guys. Yeah, I mean, like some teams in CFL start 5 alignment. They start 5 alignment. So they'll do a thing where they have 5 alignment because it's a non-skill position and maybe 1 Canadian receiver and maybe 1 free safety, and that's it. The rest of the star players are all these American guys. Yeah, I mean, that's funny. I'm saying, I know it's funny. It's cold, man. I know. Almost, it kind of feels like a betrayal to your own country, right? Yeah, like it's the Canadian Football League, but all our star players are all these American guys. All the best players in Canada who get drafted don't really get to be stars up here. It's sad. I guarantee even all you American football fans and NFL players and GM and coaches, yeah, I mean, even though the American players have been better than you, better than your best Canadian players in most cases, like they deserve to shine out there, not our NFL, not the people who get an opportunity. Yeah, the Canadian athletes are the ones who shine in the CFLs, not the American guys who didn't get the opportunity. It should be the Canadian guys, but the CFLs buy by the American talent. Yeah, we'll buy American talent. Yeah, we'll buy by the American talent. Obviously, they're so talented. That's why it's never gonna happen. Yeah, they go. Some sound. Never going to happen. There we go. Never gonna happen. Almost done here, guys. Never going to happen. There we go. If you need more pizza, Ivan, no, I'm full. Those 2 slices are good for me. Yeah. Yeah. I love the CFL grows. It will grow. I don't believe the CFL will have to grow, but I believe in a good 10 years, the CFL can grow to maybe a $300 million a year business. It can grow. If they can get 15 million, if they can grow the league by maybe 15 million a year, then in a good 10 years, they'll now jump up to $300 million, and they can raise the cap and pay the star players more money who play in the CFL. Obviously, that's good for the league, obviously. But I don't believe they're going to get substantial growth. Like it's probably going to take. I don't think the CFL will hit $400 million. It might maybe peak at 350, maybe the CFL, or it might peak at 400 million, maybe in 25 years. I don't know. We'll see what happens, but I hope the league grows, obviously, because I know the CFL wants to obviously market the Canadian Football League with most with American product, mainly instead of the Canadian product. So I hope the league grows. It will grow. I don't think it's going to have substantial growth in like 30 million. More 30 million a year, no, for every season, no, maybe 15 million a year in growth, which is good for the league, obviously, right? Obviously, I just pray to God the CFL doesn't try to Americanize the game even more, right? It's already, guys, your CFL's already Americanized with all these star American players. Now you're changing the rules. I hope they don't take away 3 downs and change it to 4. That's gonna really upset the fans if you do that. CFL, don't do that. Some fans can lose interest in your game if you do that, right? Yeah. Because the fact that the CFL has changed those rules, they're Americanizing the Canadian football. That's how you know they're trying to be the NFL of Canada. Yeah, why we want to be the NFL of Canada? I mean, yeah, but you're not the NFL CFL. You're the CFL. Why are you trying to be the NFL of Canada, man? Like the NFL's for the Americans, the CFL's for the Canadians, guys. That's what I'm saying. No games, and you know. Some Sarah. Yeah. Anyways, this different video, guys. I hope you guys enjoyed the show. Peace out, guys. I hope you guys enjoyed my CFL Show video. Peace out. Get my back and supposed to show you guys. No games, and peace out.